Today I'm going to show you how to make these little earrings that I'm calling Morning Sky earrings. Don't really have a reason for that. I just decided that it was a cool name. So that's what they're called. Anyway, this is, it starts with a tubular, just a couple rows of a tubular netted stitch, and then we will embellish it. Now, I have a necklace that I'm making that's tubular netting that will match this, and I will make a tutorial for that sometime soon and get it up and running as soon as I can. But because these are quicker to do, I'm going to go ahead and get them done first, and then we'll make the matching necklace next. I'm going to show you what we're going to need for this set of earrings. Okay, so what we're going to need today for this project is you're going to need 8 6mm round beads. I'm using a textured turquoise glass pearl for my 6mm rounds, but they can be anything you want them to be as long as they're 6mm round. Then I am going to use a 4mm round crystal. Now, you'll need 8 of these also. This is our embellishment, and you can use something other than a crystal if you'd like. You can use a pearl, you can use whatever's round that you would like to use, as long as it's 4mm round, and you'll need 8 of them. You'll also need another 4mm round, and I'm using this white glass pearl, and you will need 16 of them. They will be in the tubular netted portion. So you can make them the same. You could just add 8 more and make them the same if you'd like. If you're going to use a pearl or a crystal, you can interchange them. It doesn't matter. Or you can do 2 different colors of pearls, 2 different colors of crystals, whatever you'd like to use for your 4mm rounds. You'll just need 8 for the embellishment and 16 for the netting. You'll need 11 seed beads, and I'm using 2 colors. You don't necessarily have to use 2 colors, although it's easier when you're doing a netted type of project to have 2 colors so that you can distinguish a crossover bead. I'm using a galvanized Toho 11 and it's silver tone, and I'm also using an AB turquoise, blue turquoise Toho 11 seed bead. You will also need a set of ear wires, and I'm using silver-plated lever backs today. You will need 8-pound fire line, just a little over an arm's length, maybe an inch or 2 over 1 arm's length of 8-pound fire line, and a size 10 beading needle. And let's go ahead and get started on this project. Okay, so we are going to get started by picking up 4mm rounds and 4 11-0s, and I'm going to use my turquoise for my 11-0s to get started. Zoom in a little bit more here, and I'm going to alternate by picking up first my 4mm round and 11-0, a 4mm round and 11-0, a 4mm round and an 11-0, and a 4mm round pearl. Maybe. Does not want to go on my needle, so there we go. And this is what you will have on your needle. 1 more seed bead. So you will want to start with a 4mm round and end with an 11-0. Bring it down to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, just enough to kind of hold on to. We're going to then come to the tail side and sew back up through all of our beads that we have on our thread. Just like this. Hold on to your beads and your tail and pull the needle through. Okay, and we're going to curl it around like this, pull it tight, and we will tie a knot with the tail and the working thread. Just like that. And this is what you should have Sorry, my camera is a little messed up. Let me get it a little better here. Just like that. Now, we are going to sew back around our beads to secure them. So, my knot is here. I'm just going to sew through all of my beads again. Once I get through where my knot is, I'm going to make sure I'm exiting an 11/0 seed bead, just like this. Now, like I said, we're just going to do a tubular netted stitch for 2 rows. So what we need to do is create the netted portion. So we're going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads of our second color, and then 1 of our first color, and then 3 again of our second color. So this is what you will have on your needle. And then you're coming out of this 11/0 seed bead, you're going to go into this 11/0 seed bead on the other side of the 4mm round bead. And then turn your work. You're again going to pick up 3 of your second color, 1 of your first, and 3 of your second color 11/0 seed beads. Like this. You're coming out of this bead, we're going to go into the one right on the other side of the pearl. And turn. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Pick up 3 11/0 seed beads, 1 of the first color, 3 more of the second color, like this. And then we're going to go into the bead on the other side of the pearl. So we're just skipping the pearls and just going into the 11/0 seed beads. Pick up 3 11/0s, an accent color 11/0, and 3 11/0s. Just like this. Now we're coming out of this 11/0. We are going to go into the 11/0 on the other side. Now this is where my knot is too, so it gets a little tight. I'm going to come through here. And then we're going to sew up the 3, because we have to step up now. We've made our way all the way around. So we're going to sew up into the 3 seed beads on the other side of the 11/0 we just went through. And then we're going to also sew up into the top 11/0, the second color. So basically you come out of your 11/0, you sew up the 3 in the first portion of netting you created, and then exit the very top 11/0 seed bead, the one that is your accent color. And then you will pick up a 3mm pearl, or whatever you're using. These are not 3mm, these are 4mm. So if I said 3mm earlier, I apologize, they are 4mm. We are exiting this bead here. We're going to go into this one right next to it in the next portion of netting, in the very top bead, the one that is the accent color. Then we're going to pull the 2 portions of netting together, and we're going to move over to our next portion of netting. We will pick up 1 4mm round bead and go into the next colored seed bead on the top of our next portion of netting. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Pick up 1 pearl. We're coming out of this one, this bead here. We're going to go into the next tip portion of our netting and pull. And now we have 1 left to do. So we're going to pick up a pearl. We're coming out of this bead. We're going to go into the first one we started in, and we're also going to go through the pearl and the little 11/0 on the other side of it. And we're going to pull them all together nice and tight so it looks like a little drum. See? And then I'm going to go ahead and sew through one more purl and one more 11-0 just to make sure it's nice and tight. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to skip over the purls and work through the 11-0s, and we're going to do another section of netting. We're going to pick up 3 11-0s in one color, one in the second color, or whichever you want to call them, first, second, doesn't matter. Pick up 3 11-0s of one color, one 11-0 of another color, and 3 11-0s of the first color that you picked up, just like this. We're coming out of this 11-0, we're going to go into this one, skipping over the purl. And we want these to lay out flat, and so don't push them up over the beads, just let them lay out flat. Pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, then pick up your accent color 11-0, then 3 more 11-0 seed beads, like this. You're coming out of this 11-0, we're going to go into this 11-0 over here, just skipping over the purl. And again, pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, an accent color. Excuse me, I have a bit of a sore throat, I apologize. Just like this. Then we're going to go from this bead to this bead, skipping over the purl. Now, we're going to do the same thing on our very last one. We're going to pick up 3 11-0s, an accent color, and 3 11-0s. We are coming out of this bead here. We're going to go into the one on the opposite side, and we're also going to slide up if it's possible. If not, you can do it in a separate step. Slide up all 3 of the 11-0s here and pull through. Now we'll go through the top 11-0 in our netting here. The little pointy, very top one. You'll be exiting that one. Now we're going to turn our piece over, just like this. And we're going to snip off our tail, like that. Now, this is going to be the top of our piece instead of the bottom. We're going to start with an embellishment from this seed bead to this purl. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and then we're going to pick up a 4mm round crystal. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be a crystal. You can use what you have on hand. If you have something other than a crystal, use it. You can use the same color that we've been using if you like, the same pearl. I'm going to use a crystal. So, I am coming out of this little 11-0 seed bead on this side. I am then going to pick up an 11-0 and my crystal. I'm going to go into the pearl right here underneath my little 11-0s on the same side that I'm exiting my 11-0 from, just like this. And I'm going to pull it down tight. And then, I'm going to turn this so I can get to it better. I'm going to go directly back up the crystal. Now it may move out of place, that's okay. We'll straighten it up once we pull our thread through. So we're going to go straight up the crystal. Once we get our thread through, we're going to put our fingernail on top of it and just kind of pull it down. Make sure it's in a good spot. It's right in the middle of the pointed netted part. Now, you're coming out of the crystal here. You're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead. Preferably the same color, your main color. I'm going to say silver is my main color, and my accent color is my turquoise. So I'm going to pick up my silver seed bead. I'm coming out of this crystal here. I went through this side of my 11-0. So now I want to go through this side of the 11-0 on my net. So I'm going to go directly through that little turquoise bead, just like this. And I'm going to pull it down and pull it tight, like that. Now you can see we have the little back one that we started in, and then we have our two little embellishments. Back off a little bit, it's getting blurry. Now, we're going to sew up through, we're coming out of this little turquoise bead, we're going to sew up through the first 11 we added. Make sure everything is in good position, nice and tight, and then pick up another of your accent colors. So I'm going to pick up an 11 seed bead, and I'm coming out of this little silver one. I'm going to go into this little silver one that we added when we added our crystal, right there. I'm going to pull it tight. Now you can see on the tip, that's what it looks like. I'm coming out of this 11 I'm then going to sew into the turquoise bead that I started in, on the very top here, just like that. And I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to make sure my embellishment looks good, nice and neat. And then I'm going to pick up two 11 seed beads in my main color. I'm then going to pick up a 6mm round and two 11 seed beads in my main color, just like this. I am then going to, let's back up just a little bit again. I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to go into the next turquoise bead in my netting, the very tip in my netting, just like this. And I'm going to pull it tight, make sure that it has nice tension. And then I'm going to pick up an 11 seed bead and a crystal, 4mm round, and I'm coming out of this little 11 here. I am then going to go into the same side that I'm coming out of in the purl in my main netting, right here. And I'm going to pull. And I want to make sure I arrange it nice and neat, and then I'm going to go directly up the crystal again. Now I'm going to pull the crystal centered in the little point of the netting. And then I'm going to pick up an 11 seed bead, and I'm going to go through the 11 that I started in on the netting, the turquoise one right here. And I'm going to pull. Make sure that everything's arranged nice and neat. The crystal's laying in the right spot. Your 11 aren't all loose. Come up through, you're coming out of this little 11 here. Come up through the first one you just added. Pull tight. Pick up your accent color 11 Go into the 11 the second one you added when you added your crystal, right here. And then you will go into the 11 that you started in on the netting. So pull it through, just like that. That's what that should look like. Let's back off again. And now you need to pick up, you're coming out of this little 11 back here on your netting. You need to pick up two 11 in your main color, a 6mm round, and two 11 in your main color. Then you will go from the little turquoise bead in your netting on the tip to the next turquoise bead in the netting on the tip. And again, we will pick up an 11 seed bead, a 4mm round crystal, and we will go down into the purl in the same side that we're exiting the 11 seed bead in the netting from. And we will go through just like this. Center it. Go straight up the crystal you just added. Pull it all nice and neat. pick up an 11-0 in your main color, and then go into the opposite side you started from, so the side over here, just like we've been doing. And then you're coming out of the crystal in the back. You will go up into the little first 11-0 you added when you added your crystal. Go up into that one. Pick up your accent 11-0. Go into the 11-0, the second one you added on your embellishment. Then go back into the 11-0 in your original netting. Do this step. Add your next 6/0 seed beads, or your 6mm round. So pick up your two 11-0s, your 6mm round, and your two 11-0s, and add your crystal again on this corner, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have added my crystal, and now I'm coming out of the little 11-0 seed bead on the netting in the corner here. And now I need to pick up two 11-0 seed beads, a 6mm round bead, and two 11-0 seed beads, like this. And I'm going to go from this 11-0 here to the 11-0. Now you got to make sure that you don't go through the one you just added. You want to go through the original one on your netting that you started in. So go through the 11-0. You turn your piece over if you have to so you can see it better, like this. Go up through the 11-0, and then you can go through the 11-0s on the other side of it too, and pull. Now we are just going to sew all the way around the outside beads a couple of times just to secure the piece and make it a little bit more firm. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 seed bead here. I want to just sew around my entire piece, so I'm going to go down into the 6/0, and then I'll go down into the two 11-0s here. Actually, I missed one. There we go. If you'd like to turn the piece over, that's probably the easiest way to do it, because you want to make sure that you're sewing through the 11-0s that are in the points of the netting and not through the 11-0s that you added when you added your crystal. So we're just going to go through all of the beads. I'm just going to stay on the back of my piece and just sew through all of the outside beads. This will firm up the outside of the piece and give it some strength and some form. I'm just going to go around it. You can go around it 2-3 times, ever many times you feel like you need to do to make sure that your piece is nice and secure. I'm just going to go around like 1.5 here just to make sure that I have enough tension on my piece here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just exit the 6mm round bead. So go around and then exit one of your big beads, just like that. Make sure everything is nice and tight and looks good and feels pretty firm. And then our next step will be to add a little embellishment over the top of the 6mm round beads. So you're going to pick up 7 of your main 11-0 seed beads. So pick up 7 of them. Let's see, that's 6, 7. So once you have 7 of them on, then you're coming out of one side of your little 6mm round, go into the opposite side of just the 6mm round like this, and pull a little loop tight down around your 6mm round bead. And then go into the 11-0s. If you turn it over, you can see, go through all the 11-0s on the outside again and travel up through the next 6mm round. Make sure that before you do that, you have nice tension. You don't want your little beads to be loose and have any slack. So have nice tension on them, and then travel through the beads to the next 6mm round, pick up 7 of your main color 11-0 seed beads, like this, and then you're coming out of the 6mm round, go to the opposite side and go through, and you can also go through the 11-0s on the other side of it if you'd like. Turn it over and then continue going through the beads right where you left off, wherever you came out of, and go all the way through until you go to the next 6mm round. Excuse me. And then we will pick up 7 more seed beads. Like this. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We are just going to go, we're coming out of this side, we're going to go into the opposite side and down into the beads on the other side of it, like this. Turn your piece over, pick up where you left off, just sew through until you get to your next one. And once again, you're going to pick up your 7 11-0 seed beads. Like this. And then you're coming out of this side, you go into the opposite side and go ahead once again and sew through the seed beads on the other side of the 6mm round bead also. And I'll flip it over so you can see I'm coming out of these two 11-0s. Now I want it to be nice and secure, so I'm going to sew all the way. I'm going to sew through this 11-0 and the two 11-0s on the other side of it. Then I'm going to go through the 6mm round bead right here and turn my piece over. Make sure everything is nice and neat. See, I've got some thread caught, so make sure everything's nice and neat like this. Looks good. You're coming out of this bead now. You're going to sew up into the 11-0s, the embellishment on the top we just added, and you're going to go through 4 of them. And you will exit the 4th one. Well, if you can only get up 3, that's fine, and then go into the 4th one. But you want to make sure you exit the 4th 11-0 seed bead on the top of your 6mm round here. Then you will pick up 4 more 11-0 seed beads. They're just arguing with me tonight. So you have 4 of them now. You're exiting this side of the little 4th 11-0 in your embellishment. You're going to go into the opposite side and pull it tight into a little loop like this. Now I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to sew back through my little loop that I just created. All of the seed beads, including the one in the netting or in the embellishment. So I'm going to go back into the one I started in, the 4th bead in the little embellishment on top, just like this. That's what that should look like. Now I'm going to sew down into my embellishment the last 3 beads here. What I've done is kind of pulled it loose, so I'm going to go back through the 6mm round like this. Tighten it up. My thread is caught around this bead here. Get it off. And now I am going to just cut around this one too. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to sew down into these little beads here on the other side of the 6mm round. And I'm just going to grab myself a little knot right here, right next to the 6mm round and the 11/0. And I'm just going to make sure my thread stays in between the beads, which it didn't, of course. So I'll move it over. And tie my knot. And then I'm going to go through the 6mm round, because you don't want to hop up from these beads to these beads, because you'll be able to see your thread. So just go through the 6mm round, then take your scissors and cut your thread off, just like that. Straighten everything up, make sure it's nice and neat, it looks good. Then you will grab an ear wire and take a long nose plier, and you will open the loop on the ear wire from side to side, and then you will slide, you open that a little more, you will slide your earring loop on, and then you will close your ear wire. And then you have made an earring. So this is what the set will look like, just like that. Really kind of pretty. I hope you like them. Let me give you a nice close-up shot here. And I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, I will make a necklace that matches, and I will have that sometime soon. Next few days, I hope. Thanks. Bye-bye.